Now you can see why I think he's amazing. That was brilliant. I've never heard that before. I've never heard the breakdown of the words of the definition of monk in different traditions. I think that's incredible to hear that. And I think that's what I find so special about this path is that it allows the ability to serve as well, not just to live in solitude. And that's why my next question is, I've written my book called Think Like a Monk. And the reason why I called it that is because I believe that you don't have to necessarily live like a monk to think like one. That it is a beautiful opportunity if you can, but we both know that for 99.9% of the world, it's not going to be something that people are going to do. But I really believe that the mindset that a monk is encouraged to cultivate of service, of self-growth, of removing unwanted negative tendencies and implications, these are things that anyone can do. And in one sense, we all must do to live a peaceful and purposeful life. So I'd love to hear from you what you think thinking like a monk, in your opinion, is relevant for the modern people and modern world, and for people like me now who also live in the city, have normal jobs, are married. How does thinking like a monk actually help that person?
Bhagavad-gita describes 4 principles which are extremely important for us to follow. One of the greatest challenges in remaining grounded in life is our inability to tolerate provoking situations. Whether one is a monk or one is in household life or in a corporate life, any kind of a relationship or doing any kind of activity or occupation, we are constantly being provoked. And therefore, Gita first talks about what is known as Vega Sahishnuta, which means we have to tolerate our urges. So I would say tolerating our urge to consume. The second principle is Dvandva Sahishnuta. Dvandva refers to duality. We have to tolerate various dualities which come in our life and remain humble and aware of the fact that we cannot control all situations. So therefore, we have to tolerate the urge to control. Third is Paramata Sahishnuta. We are so convinced about our opinions and our standpoint and our viewpoint that we want others also to buy into that. And so many arguments, differences of opinion happen, relationships break down because we have a strong urge to convince others. So we have to tolerate that urge to convince others in certain situations. And the fourth is the urge to compete. And that is known as Parotkarsha Sahishnuta. Certain people will do much better than us in so many different ways. We should feel happy when we see that and remember that we have a role to play and we should resist the temptation and the urge to compete. So Gita focuses on how to elevate one's consciousness above these urges to control, to convince, to compete. And then we are actually able to rise above all of these and realize that yes, I have a role to play to serve each and everyone in society to the best of my ability. And therefore, people who are engaged in society are in anxiety because many times they are trying to compare with others. And this comparison is a huge cancer of the mind. Today, every single day in India, 371 people commit suicide. Every day. Every single day. 300 million people across the world are experiencing mental health disorders. Every single day, 18 billion cigarettes are being smoked. 6.75 trillion cigarettes smoked every year, 1 billion people across the world experiencing addiction to cigarette smoking and unable to give up. So practically each one of us have our internal challenges. And therefore Gita focuses on first managing oneself. And then based on how we manage ourselves, we can manage others. And in my own experience, I have found that when people, irrespective of whatever occupation and profession they may be, when they cannot control these urges to consume, to control, to convince, to compete, then invariably they land up in so many difficulties, so many challenges. Social issues may not be described, emotional issues may not be described, personal issues may not be described in books of technology and management. But all of those issues have a major role to play in our overall experience as individuals and in our contribution to society. For example, the word family may not pop up anywhere in your management books or in your technology books. But today, because of a lack of emphasis on family values and because of inability for people to control their urges, so many differences of opinion are cropping up. A country like Luxembourg has a divorce rate of 87%. Spain has a divorce rate of 65%. France has a divorce rate of 55%, Russia 51%. America has a divorce rate of 46%. The global divorce rate is 44%. And therefore, it's very important for us to realize that there may not be much focus on instilling values in individuals and institutions as families. But if you do not focus and emphasize and invest in something, in due course of time, you'll lose it. And therefore, it was not empty rhetoric when people would say, a family which prays together stays together. And therefore, it's very important for us to introspect which way we are going as a society. How much are all these values crucial and critical for self-conservation and conserving relationships in society, conserving mental health and sanity in society? Because sometimes we may just think that these are not irrelevant because you cannot connect a dollar value to these values.